here. We're alive. Everybody, I'd
Howdy.
like to welcome Mr. Nate Builds today.
Hey,
My
hey.
hero.
I don't know
Yeah.
about that, but I
Oh man.
appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, man. And yeah, looking forward to getting into some deep dives, some conversation, and getting to talk with everybody in the chat.
I was going back through your pics a little while ago, and there is one specific picture. Uh, I'm not the best with the names of all the Star Wars ships, so bear with
It's
me.
all
The
good.
Acclimator? Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a shot on in like the bridge or whatever you call it there. Very first question, it's off out of order, whatever. How the hell did you take that picture?
uh, yeah. That's a great question. So, the Acclimator Bridge that's one of like my smallest, but one of my favorite projects. So I just made the bridge or like that surrounding area that you see in the movies or like in the TV show. Or I think in the TV show, it's more of like the Venator. But whenever I grew up with the multimedia project, there's a game called The Clone Wars in 2002. And you start in the bridge for like the main menu. So took that concept, made it my own, and I basically used a projector, like a light projector, to make something that looks like space, and then I just got my iPhone right up into like that cutout to the interior of the bridge, and it'd just be probably about an hour or so of just snapping photos, trying to get different angles, get all the lighting, and shout out to Light My Bricks. I use their lighting systems to get the light projections on the computers and to really just make it feel like you are in on the operations on one of the Acclimator bridges. So, uh, yeah, if that answers your question, yeah, just getting that iPhone on there, trying
Wow.
to adjust the zoom, and yeah, I think it turned out pretty decent. I know there's a lot of other folks that are well versed in their photography. I'm not that kind of guy, but I try to make do with what I can. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would never have guessed that that was a phone.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be listing something with a whole bunch of numbers after it.
Oh no, no, no. I'm a Neanderthal. I just use whatever I've got available. And oh hey, my phone can take pictures. It's got a picture app. Cool. Let's give it a go. So that's why you might not see the most crisp photos, but hopefully you get something that kind of resonates.
All right. So let's see here. Hey, all right.
Hey, what's up, Austin?
What's up? And let's see. Run through here real quick. CT6628. And we got Moments of the Magic. What's up,
Oh,
Joe?
howdy. Let's see. Get the chat up on my phone as well.
All right.
There we go.
And, all right. So let's start off with an origin story.
Okay.
Um, how did you end up in the world of Lego? Is that a kid thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
yeah. My dad kind of got me into Lego. I think whenever I grew up, I just inherited some of his old sets. So you forgive me on the names of the themes, but I think it was like one of the pirate themes. I remember just this ship with the red and white sails. There was like a fortress or like a fort that's on an island as well with like some colonial looking type dudes, some space themes, and I just remember. I don't think Phantom Menace had came out just yet, or maybe it had. Um, so that's what I predominantly just kind of used and made my own stuff with. Um, and then the 1999 sets started coming out for Lego Star Wars, and as a kid, that's just whenever I got super deep into it. Like I remember the Gungan sub, the MTT, the X-wing, just even like the little set of Luke Skywalker, a stormtrooper, and an Imperial officer, like coming off the deck for the landing platform on Endor, going to meet Vader, like all that kind of stuff. It was just it blew my mind because that was around the time that I was just getting introduced into Star Wars by my dad, and so no better way to just immediately start sipping on the Lego Star Wars Kool-Aid at that point. And I rode that wave all the way to about I think 2009. That's whenever I started getting into a few older years in school. I think I was in eighth grade, and that's whenever you enter the proverbial dark ages, right? Lego's not that cool anymore, or being pressured into other things by society. But we ended up right back where we wanted to be, so no worries there.
That's awesome. So Lego Star Wars happened at exactly the perfect time for you.
Absolutely, yes.
Unbelievable. The odds of that happening are so slim. That's that's
it,
great. Yeah.
it's so cool to see like where it's come since then. I just remember just seeing those sets and thinking like, oh, there's no way it could get any better. And then you see what comes out nowadays. Even you're like, wow, I can't even imagine. So it's very cool to see the evolution over time.
Yeah. And people are still mad every time there's a new release.
Oh yeah, I can understand. And I think it just comes with at the time growing up, you just wanted to see a set of the thing that you enjoyed. So uh, to see a set of the clone gunship, you're like, oh man, it's the clone gunship. You're not thinking, oh, does it look exactly like what you saw in the movies? Like, I see they use some blue and orange bricks, and there's no blue and orange details on here. What are we doing, Lego? Like, there was a little bit of freedom of movement with the way that the sets were designed. So it was just cool to see something come to life. And I think nowadays Lego's gone through so many of those sets or projects or vehicles and made them sets that now the expectation is okay. Well, if they're going to do it again, how do they improve it? So I can kind of see where people are coming from, uh, but it doesn't phase me too much. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, you also have the ability that you can fix these things and make them better.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very much a an instruction boy.
Oh yeah.
But as far as I get, yeah, that's almost it's. I'm afraid to leave that escape because it becomes a project at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I certainly can't do the time. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you get back in. You said 10 years later or so.
Yeah, yeah, I think let's see, yeah, 2008, 2009. I didn't get back in until about 20 late 2022.
Oh,
Um
okay.
yeah, yeah, I think it was like right around the time that the clone turbo tank with the 187th was about to eclipse or about to retire. And kind of like what you said earlier about the perfect timing, getting into Lego Star Wars sets as they were incepted. Like no perfect timing to get back into Lego. You had the ATTE with the first ever Phase Two Cody. You had the 187th, which I think that was the main thing that immediately just got me back into Lego. Is seeing something that you're like, why did they make this? Why would they have made this? It's so cool. I'm down. Like I'm eager to see where this journey with Lego goes and what else they create. Because if they're going to explore something like that, I mean, what else? What else is going to come in the future? So, uh, yeah, it was just the perfect timing for a lot of sets that were coming out, and I think even now, some of the rumored sets or sets that are being revealed, just to me at least, furthers that point.
So, at what point did you go from just collecting and building box sets to starting with mocks?
Yeah, so I know as a kid, um, because just being a kid, you're not really always thinking forward. I would take sets and I'd deconstruct them after a while. Then I'd go through a phase of being like, oh man, shoot, I want to play with that old set again. Now it's trying to find all the pieces, get the instruction book, and sometimes you're missing a few pieces and you try to make do with what you can, and sometimes you're able to reconstruct it again. But I would make my own little like play scale or I'm trying to think of the right terminology, but just making like an environment out of Lego. Whereas I think Lego normally makes sets or just small scenes. I try to make something a little bit bigger. So that way I could enact my own battles, make my own little bases, and that was always fun. I think that was like my first little introduction, or even trying to recreate some of the vehicles. You can check it out on Instagram. I have a highlight called First Builds, and my sister found some old photos of me just having some having made some creations for some sets that I could never get my hands on. So at the time, it was like a clone gunship. I was using like TIE fighter cockpit pieces, and I mean it's all red and white and yellow. It's like totally not at all looking like what you see in the films. But to me, it was just I have a gunship and I can use my imagination to, create the scene and whatnot. And here's this base, and here's my little homing spider droid that I use with all these just random pieces. And it was more so just I get the idea of what this is supposed to be, would send it forward. And so I think once, like you said, after collecting some of the new sets, like catching back up, I started thinking back to those days of, well, now I could kind of plan. I have a way to get or acquire pieces. What if I just make those old ideas, those MOCs, I guess. I didn't know that's what they were called back then. Now I do. So I could make those MOCs that I wanted to make as a kid, and I could do it more efficiently. I can make them look more accurate, or I can just impose my own style on them. And ever since being able to like place a couple orders on Bricklink, we have dove down the rabbit hole, and now we are deep in it. So uh, it's exciting to see what's gonna come. What's gonna come next?
So how do you decide what you're gonna build? Is it just pure inspiration in the moment? I need to start a new build. This would be cool. Or do
Yeah,
you actually research? How does that go?
kind of a lot of all of it. When I first started, I had moved into my first home, so I moved out of my apartment, moved into a house, and I had a little room that I had set up my MOCs, or I acquired all my Lego from my parents. They had it in their attic probably for that entire 15 or so years. So finally getting to see it all again, and I just looked at what I had, and I was like, okay, what can I do with all this? Um, so not a whole lot of color variation. Again, with a lot of Lego Star Wars sets, you got your light bluish grays, dark bluish grays, some black, blue, maybe some red. And so I just looked at it. So what can I make with this? Um, so I originally started on, I think it was a hallway, just a simple hallway. Um, for the acclimator, I had acquired some clone. This is another rabbit hole, but custom figures. That's a whole other topic. But I'd got some custom figures, Delta Squad from Republic Commando, one of the other cool games I got to grow up with. And so I was like, man, that'd be pretty sweet, just like be able to display these awesome figures. Let's just make a hallway. Um, what's the story behind it? And I thought of a couple different variations, some with like some Trandoshan bounty hunters or slavers coming out and attacking them, some where they're defending the hallway from the separatist forces. Um, but I just took inspiration from the game and I tried to recapture the feeling that I felt as a kid in that game. Like, what did I see? Looking at a lot of pictures on Google. So I made that one. And then I think the next one was Felucia. I had Ayla Sakura. I had a couple of 327th. And at the time, I was like, okay, I've got my Commander Bly, Ayla, and a couple of 327th. I don't foresee myself making any more Felucia MOCs after this. Like, I'll just stick with this small group and we'll make a small display, and then that'll be the end of the 327th. Little did I know. uh, but yeah, then I had a couple of gift with purchase sets that had a bunch of browns, oranges, dark blues, and I thought, hey, maybe I could make Felucia. Maybe I can make some plants out of this, and I just tried to assemble what I could, slapped it on a small little display piece, and I was pretty impressed with what I was able to come up with. I thought it was sufficient, and that just continued to churn the wheels for creativity. Another one was Bounty Hunter. Uh, another niche video game from when I grew up. There's a scene where Django and his rival Montross are going at it on their last duel, and I just thought it'd be a fun, cool kind of diorama display piece to make. Again, I had a bunch of light bluish gray, dark bluish gray pieces. Um, Tried to make my own custom like Bandogora figures, my own Montross figure because obviously Lego hasn't made that, and again, I was just so happy with what I was able to come up with just what I had, and ever since then, now going through Bricklink, I can acquire pieces that I can use for the builds for like Felucia. I had to get a ton of dark tan and other related pieces. If it wasn't for Bricklink, I mean, I know there's other avenues, but I mean there's so many stores on Bricklink that saved me working on projects like that, or even my Guido. That I had a couple of stores in North Carolina that they they were instrumental. Shout out to EMS Renee and Pete. They helped me out a lot whenever I think I ordered enough parts and then I was severely off on my count of what I needed. That just opened up the floodgate to the possibilities on how to select projects because now I can go to Bricklink, see what kind of pieces are out there, and make better judgment calls on what projects to do. So with my Guido, I thought of I've never worked with like round or rounded structures or anything like that. It would be out of my comfort zone and different. Let's give it a shot. Felucia, that was a different process. I reached out to the folks on Instagram and I asked, "Hey, what do you want to see?" I figured this would be a good opportunity for me again to expand my parts collection. So I tried to choose various environments. I chose Renvar, which is like a snow planet. That way I could expand in maybe some blues, some white, some more light bluish gray pieces. Chose Felucia, the dark tans, various colored plants, things of that nature. And so ultimately I left it up to the community, asked them what they would like to see, and then we just kept narrowing it down. And that was in response to a simple video where I took this dropship that Forged in Lego had designed, and I just showed the function of it, and it got so much traction, and a lot of my following came from that video. So I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to give my thanks by making a mock that showcases the cool thing that everyone started following me for in the beginning, and let's make a whole battle or a whole something around it. And that's how we got to Felucia. Was what was going to be just a few base plates. My imagination kept going, and the mock just kept getting bigger and bigger. And at the time, I was overseas, so I couldn't be with my Lego collection. I was just with my mind and all the possibilities that could come from it. So we kept thinking about it, and yeah, the project just kept getting bigger and bigger. But uh, that's a long way to go around to your question. I don't have a process really. It's just yeah. What do I feel in the moment? What do I have available? Like what figures? Because the figures play a big part in the story. Story is a big thing for me. What am I trying to relay or communicate with the mock? What do I want you to see, or what story am I trying to show you with the environment, the figures, the vehicles, everything that's going on? I want you to feel something, or that you can get an idea of like the struggle or whatever the characters or the figures are going through, right? In this made up little story that I've made. So that plays a big factor is figures. So I've collected a lot of figures to eventually make a lot of different stories. Um, but yeah, getting a story that compels me, that's what truly drives it. And then do I have the sets or the figures to bring it to life? Those would be the main determining factors.
I love the way you work your stories into your descriptions.
Oh yeah,
They add so much to the visuals as you're going through and kind of you give a little you're a little tour guide of your own
yeah,
photography. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. Well, I want to provide a good experience, and like if you're gonna stop to read the description, hopefully I'm adding enough detail or something to it that made it worthwhile for you to stop and read it. So
yeah.
yeah,
I think that's also good for, the more casual fans who aren't aware of some of these places.
yeah.
You, you explain it to them so they know what they're looking at. And I shouldn't just say them. That includes me in some of this too.
Well, and it makes me too, because whenever I go look at other people's like amazing content, I also want to make sure that I'm not misinterpreting anything, or like that I can kind of understand where the creator's coming from, because that's the cool thing about art, if you want to call it that, like this. But everyone's got their own take on it. The creator, the viewer. Uh, there's so many different possibilities of like how a story can be interpreted. So try to guide them in the best way I can to show them, hey, here's kind of where I'm leaning. But obviously, it's up to you on how you see it as well. So yeah, happy to include that as well.
So when you're building, do you just picture it in your head and start clicking things together? Or do you actually like open up Studio now at this point and try to design that way?
Yeah, I'm not tech savvy, so I think if I went into studio, a small mock would probably take years. Just trying to like get all the bricks to line up. Anyone that can go into studio and make mocks or vehicles or anything like that, props to you all. That is not an ability I possess. I have to visually think about it, and if it's something that I've really got to think how we're gonna make this work, I might draw it out. So something that always comes to mind is, because I don't take any of my stuff to conventions. I just, until recently, I haven't really had the time to do so, just with different conflicting schedules, right? So, okay, I'm going to be presenting this to people through my phone. Um, if I'm going to show it all in one shot, I want to be able to capture as much without having to make it to where you have to look at all these different photos to see the entire thing. Felicia was kind of a exception to that, because there was like a back to it with the cliff kind of covering it up. But for the most part, I want you to be able to see everything in one shot, and so that plays a factor. Like if it was going to be, would say, an urban environment, I've got to find a way to make the streets, the building placement, all of that line up to where it doesn't feel off, but you're not, nothing's hidden or overly hidden, right? So, and I think you can see that in a lot of people's creations. They try to like display or show things in a way where there's not like a giant structure covering up like the main battle of their mock, or the main area of focus. So that's something that I might scribble out, draw out, and it might not make sense to anybody who would stumble across it, but to me, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm looking at. So uh, yeah, that's just something special that I do.
You think like a camera. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Pulling that all in advance. How often do you find yourself deconstructing things as you're building them? Like you get pretty well involved. You say, ah, shit, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. That happens. That definitely happens. I think that happened a lot, I think, with Fallujah. There's a lot of times I had to reroute plan, just because I was on a time crunch. So again, I thought I had until maybe October of this year before I'd have to relocate. And so I was like, oh, I've got all summer to work on this and finalize it. Like, we're gonna have plenty of time to like get this thing polished up and figured out. So whenever I realized I did not have that time, there was a lot of trial and error trying to figure out, oh, do I want to make a wall here, or do I actually want to try to open up and explore things like I originally planned? And then once I do that, I'd run into some of those roadblocks or barriers, and then it's like, okay, we got to scale it back, take apart some things, throw in something new, and I mean, it worked out. But yeah, those kind of growing pains can suck. I try to plan it out enough in advance to where it's minimized when that happens. Um, and then there's other times where I don't have a clear picture, and I just try something out, or I try different variations, like using Felicia again, the giant anti-air turrets. I just knew I needed a turret. I needed something to fill that space. I had no idea what I wanted it to look like or anything like that. And I think it was like about an hour of me just having my workspace open, some different various parts, and me just constantly making different configurations, tearing it apart, making something different. Maybe I saved 25% of it because I liked it. Now I'm trying to build around that 25%. Now I've got a 50% product that I really like, scrap the other 50, try something different, and eventually I ended up with something that I was like, okay, I like it. Then I kept building upon it, like, oh, I like it, but what's out of this? And that's the fun part, is when you get to a spot where you're like, oh, I finally arrived at what I like, but I know a way to make this maybe just a little bit better. Um, that once it pays off and it's done, it's very rewarding. It makes up for those times where you had to scrap something and come back in a different way. So um, hopefully over time we minimize those occurrences, but never say never, right?
Did Lego math take you a little while? Or did you build enough that it was easy? Like figuring out where you could put brackets and have everything line up and jumpers and whatnot, incorporating
Um,
that stuff.
yeah, yeah, trial and error, and that's still something that I'm definitely trying to improve on as well. I'll look at different people's projects, see how they were able to make a textured wall or certain angles, and then I'll try to incorporate that in my own style. If I ever come to a part in a project where I'm like, oh, that would be a good spot for me to make this. Um, yeah, working with brackets is something that I'm currently learning, and I think I learned a little bit of it with my Guido, trying to make the structures and having kind of like the snot technique going around each ring. Um, yeah, and I think I'm about to get a little bit more heavy into that with my next project. There's a lot of weird angles, a lot of different stuff that's going on that's going to require some unique parts usage aside from just, you know, stacking blocks on top of blocks or bricks on top of bricks. Um, I like to incorporate a little bit of simplicity in the build, um, and then maybe detail around the areas of focus that I want you to see. That way, one, it kind of saves time and saves a little bit of parts. Because although I can respect everything being detailed, not everyone's going to see that, and that's okay. But if you can get the vision and maybe not necessarily cut corners, but if you can simplify some of the areas where it's like, hey, I if I need a rock here, I don't need it to be like the most detailed, polished boulder anyone's ever seen. You know, that's not my area of focus. I just need something, an obstacle right there, and as long as it doesn't look like a 2x2 brick just enlarged, then I think we're in the right spot. So the areas of focus, like where the figures are, that's the kind of stuff like I want to detail, because that's again kind of like what we talked about. That's where that camera is going to be. That's where the shot's going to be. So um, it's still a learning process. I'm still very much a learner. Definitely not a master at this. Just a dude building with some Lego and showing people stuff that I've always wanted to create.
And with the infinite detail of getting into every little bit, it ain't cheap. You want to
Oh,
if you want to keep building, it's nice to be able to just kind of put that stuff in the shadows a little bit.
yeah, yeah. And it all goes back to that placement, you know. So if you know that there's going to be something obstructing the view, obviously continue to, build up that section, but maybe you don't have to go into as much detail, or not use as small of parts to bring out the detail in that area as you would in maybe someplace that's going to be more visible. I think that'll help people out uh, with their projects. Unless that's just your mission, is to make the entirety of this thing detailed, because maybe you are taking it to a convention where everyone can see things from different angles. Because I know what I'm working with, and that I'm probably not going to take this somewhere. I control the areas of where the viewer is going to see things. That's going to change as I try to get more tech savvy and make YouTube videos. That way, people can get a better view of the project. Then maybe I will, try to detail more areas. But even on Instagram, the parts or the areas that I thought I didn't do it the best job detailing, got compliments for it. So, I think that's something that all people, whether it's running a business, creating art, whatever, we're all our worst critics. And so, where I see something and I think, "Wow, I fell short on that," someone else is like, "Holy cow, man, you made that? Like that's legit." And you have to remember, like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you know what? I did make that, and I'm proud of what I did." Could you make it better? Always. You could always make something 100% better. Um, but do you want to work on this project 5 years, 6 years, 7 years out? Because you'll never get to perfect, and you'll realize that somewhere along the way. So I think that's something that's important, and that I was thankful for with that time crunch, is that I didn't spend too much time on it to where maybe other projects I would have liked to have got to or other people would be interested in seeing just went by the wayside because I spent so much time on Felicia. That's no longer the case. Now I've been forced to finish the project. Now we can get into some other things. And now I've learned some lessons in regards to maybe having some smaller projects going in while a large project is going on in the background. That's something I'm really looking forward to is engaging in some quick kills, as I call it, or like just like quick mocks that I'm still going to spend a lot of time on, but you're going to get to completion a lot faster than those larger projects, and that means faster time to share cool creations with other people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What happens when you finish a build? How long do you sit and stare at it before you start cannibalizing it?
Oh yeah. um, I think for those first three mocks that I had listed, the smaller ones, I had them for a long time. I think I had the Felicia one just like sitting up on the shelf for a while because I liked seeing all the colors. I'd never made something that colorful before. Excuse me. The duel with Montross and Django, I kept that one for as long as I could. I loved that display. I wanted to use it for different characters, whether it was just showcasing new decaled figures I had made or something like that. I was like, oh, this is the perfect little display mock. Um, like that would be cool. Which that kind of was what the acclimator was supposed to be. It's just supposed to be like a display for the figures, and then I just got really into it with the different setups. That was so much fun. That was another one I kept for a very long time. And then I realized, people are probably getting tired of me just showing the same scenery. But I tried to change it, different lighting. Eventually I had the brick vault acclimator in the corner, kind of like what you see in the video game. That's why I kept it for so long, because I wanted to get that set once I got back from overseas, build it, and then put it in that the kind of like the background of the mock, so it felt like you were in space with the rest of the like part of the clone army fleet, and you're going across the stars, going to the next planet, the next place. So uh, I try to save them, try to get a lot of use out of them, because by that time you've already created the project. What all can you get into it? And so I think with Felicia, I had to cannibalize it very quick. It was probably, I think I remember being done with it, making the post. I grabbed my coffee. I just kind of sat back, stared at it for a little bit, and I was like, "Ah, shit! I gotta tear this thing down." Like,
Oh,
it's this is gonna be a long project in itself just to take apart and bag up and get ready for the move. Um, so that's when I just reached out, I think, to the community again, and either I told them I was just gonna make a bunch of um, posts with different clone units just for the heck of it, or I asked which ones people wanted to see, or maybe it was both. But I figured this is a huge mock. I know everyone's got their own favorite clone unit, whether it's the 212th, the 501st, the 21st Nova Corps, the 187th Legion. Wouldn't it be cool to continue to utilize this mock, and now I can show your favorite clone unit in this giant landscape. Um, not something that you always get to see because I think most mock builders, whenever they're bringing it to conventions or whatnot, it from what I've observed, it's very intent. Like this is supposed to depict this specific scene, and I don't always see those different like alternate displays, as I like to call them, where you've got different factions or maybe a different group of figures in the same area. Um, I wanted to take it further. I wanted to have some. I think I wanted to have the droid base. Like a few years later, I was gonna take parts of it apart, show more battle damage, and it was going to be like a rebel outpost, and the Empire was going to be coming down. I was going to have the dark version of Star Killer from the Force Unleashed games coming down on Rogue One, or not Rogue One. I apologize. The Rogue Shadow, and I had it all laid out, but I ran out of time, so I don't think I've released it yet, but you're the first person to know. I think I've got a couple of photos of Juno Eclipse and Star Killer and the Rogue Shadow, kind of in like the lowlands and the Felicia mock. So I might post that at some point. It was just fun, just to see like what I could have continued to do with this mock. But I think we did a good job with the different displays. I think a lot of people liked it. A lot of people loved seeing the 41st Ranger platoon, like the camo clones that you see on like Kashyyyk and Revenge of the Sith. A lot of people loved that, so I was happy that I was able to display another group besides just the 327th. I think the 327th are great. We'll see how LEGO does with the new battle pack that's coming out. I know there's a lot of speculation with that, but I was just happy I could make what I wanted to make, but also give just a little bit something more that maybe people wanted to see. And I fully intend to do that with the rest of my projects. So yeah.
So when you go to Bricklink, is it always like beginning of the project and then in the middle when you have like a defined plan, or do you just build a wanted list as you go and then it's like, all right, well, now I'm stuck, now I'll order? How do you go about that?
Yeah, I think more so the latter. Um, I think with Magito, it was definitely like as you described, where okay, we'll get a couple parts, we'll make this spot, and then we'll continue to build as much as we can until I get to like an impasse where it's like, okay, I can either sacrifice what I was originally trying to go for and just work with what I have, and maybe it doesn't come out the way I wanted it to, or we place that bricklink order, get the parts that we believe we need to get past this part or make what we intended to. So I definitely think that was the way, um, and will probably be the way for the most part. Again, Felicia was a little bit different. While I was gone, again, my family was very kind, and some nights I just go on Bricklink and I just order something and I'd send it to my parents' house and I'd just be like, hey, can you hold on to hold on to these? I know I'm going to use them because I wanted to just hit the ground running as soon as I got back because it was 3 months that I was gone, and I was like, man, I that was 3 critical months I thought I was going to have to make this project. So okay, let's start thinking terrain. What kind of terrain pieces, or like what pieces could we use to make this kind of terrain that I've envisioned? Okay, we'll probably need wedges. We'll probably need some brick for the borders or like stuff like that. And so that's not the most efficient way. I would only do that if you if somehow you have a loose budget, then maybe that's what you'd go through. I wouldn't recommend that. I'm definitely have learned my lessons from that because I have a lot of extra parts that I thought I was going to use, didn't end up using, but I know I will use it for another project. So pros and cons there. The way I wrap it around my mind is just investing in future projects, right? Like it's yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd definitely say the best way to do it, especially for anyone that's you know listening in, that's wanting to do their own projects, is go the method of get what you think or what you know you need, work up to a spot where it's like, okay, I do need to buy into some more parts, and then just be very intentional with what you get. Because if you're like me, it is so easy to go down the rabbit hole where I'll go on someone's store. Okay, here's the specific parts I need. What kind of figures do they have? What?
Yep.
Oh, they got these kind of parts. Yeah, I know I'm going to need that for a project down the road. Yeah, let's go ahead and get that. And then by that time, I go to the cart, and then I have to remove like half the items that I was looking at because I was like, that's that we went off the rail a little bit. So I've definitely had to tailor it back slightly, but that would be my recommendation. It's just be intentional, at least from the consumer standpoint. Be intentional with what you're getting if you want to do this for the long term, because you definitely don't want to burn yourself out. Buy a bunch of parts, and if you didn't need all of them, maybe that limits you in the future from acquiring other parts to make your next project, depending on what kind of budget you're working with. So, and again, another long-winded answer to that question.
Well, there's a lot of important details there. You know,
Yeah,
it like you said, it's very easy to spend too much money on Bricklink.
yeah,
It's also easy to say, all right, well, I just need whatever. It's 100, it's 1 by 2 plates or something. And then you realize that you're paying $5 to ship almost nothing.
oh
So
yeah.
you better go and pad your cart or to make the shipping worthwhile. You
Yep,
know,
yep. Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
All the
it's a hard
different
balance.
mental gymnastics you can do to justify, like, I got to make it worthwhile, stuff like that. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt multiple times. Still looking for it. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and some of those stores, you really need to read the details because
yeah,
it's 4.95 for shipping. It's a dollar handling charge. It's a dollar
yeah.
50 per, it's X amount of lots, and they some of those stores nail you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good that you brought that up. I did have one instance of that. I was working with Thrawn's Revenge to make just a very niche ship called Jaster's Legacy, again from that bounty hunter game with Jingo. And after I got the parts list from him on what I needed to make the thing come to life, I went through and I was going through multiple stores trying to get good parts, but I mean, you know how it is. There's some sellers that will just way up charge, but they have just about 95% of what you need. Then there's
Yep.
some that's like, I've got 50% of what you need, but it's a little bit more economical. And so I played around with what stores I needed to acquire from. And eventually I got to a point where I was like, okay, I think I used Bricklink's automated sorting system or something, or
Yep.
sourcing system. I was like, I've never used this before. I'll give it a shot. Hit the button. It got me around to the estimated cost that Thrawn had thought it was going to be. And so I was like, okay, I'll go with that. That seems logical and reasonable. Going through, buying each, I think there were 6 different stores. And it got to one of them that was just like you said. It was like there's a certain minimum threshold, and in order to reach that, I had to get more parts. And then there was another hidden line where it's like, okay, well, for every line item or lot number, it's going to also add this handling fee. And what could have been like a $20 purchase ended up, after shipping and taxes, I think it was like about 110. And I was very sad that night. I was like, oh, I got. Yeah, I mean, we got more parts. We definitely got more parts for different projects, but I was not anticipating that. So it was good that we have been on a break and just moving to where I haven't been buying any Lego, I think, since then. Um, so yeah, that helped us recover a little bit because I was like, we went a little bit over budget on that one. But lesson learned: read the fine print. Make sure you read the terms and the splash page, because yeah, you might think like, oh, I've done this a few times, like I know how this is gonna go, and then you get caught. And I did not want to have to go through, take a picture of every single piece that I needed from that store, make sure it lined up with my wanted list, because the last thing I wanted was to get all those pieces to make the display so I could send it to Thrawn and be like, hey, here's the finished project. Um, and then I was missing like maybe 50 pieces or something like that. and I couldn't finish it. Then I got to move, and then it's just a complete cluster from there. So I had to bite the bullet on that one and just send it. But yeah, I would definitely recommend read into things. Definitely do your research. What's this?
Question: how do you prevent yourself from wanting an impromptu mock based off a recent obsession? Me with revisiting Oblivion.
Hmm. How do you want to prevent yourself from? Uh that's I don't know. So you're saying that because Oblivion came out, you want to just launch into a project that's Oblivion related, but you're kind of wanting to stop yourself? Is that what I'm getting, Austin? I misworded that heavy. No, it's all good, brother. Yeah. Let's
Yes,
see.
exactly. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, up to you. I mean, if you don't want to do it, then that's just self-control and discipline, right? But if it's like a smaller scale project, I don't see the harm in it. I mean, if you're wanting to go just, hey, I want to do 8 gray base plates by 6 gray base plates and recreate one of the villages or castles, or this is me showing my ignorance on Oblivion and that whole slew of games. But like, if you're trying to recreate one of the spaces over there, and just launch, just deep into a giant project, maybe just start with something smaller and dip your feet in. I know for Austin specifically, he made a really cool apartment from Django,
Yes, he
the one
did.
that we see on Camino. So I think now he's starting to get a little taste of wanting to go into some bigger projects. But yeah, man, just take that scale from what you just did and maybe work something up a little bit bigger and go from there. I don't see there's a lot of different variables and factors, right? I don't know the complete situation, how you got to budget things, what parts you're working with, but just take all that into consideration whenever you're making a project and see what's within your left and right means. And if you can do it or the conditions are set, then just do it. But I wouldn't go overboard and like try to make something like Solid Brick Studios. Maybe we pump the brakes on that
Yeah.
because that's just insane. Oh, hold on. What is he saying? For sure. Oh yeah, he's got a lot of different projects. He's the one to get into. Yeah, man. Just I can always recommend doing something like a diorama or something small. Do those kind of builds, grow your parts collection, and then over time, by knocking out different projects that require different pieces, you now set yourself up, or the conditions are set to where you could make one of those bigger projects because over time you've acquired more parts and you have more of an ability to make something bigger. Um, you don't have to do what I did, where I just, all right, we're gonna shotgun a large project that's we're way in over our heads. I would highly recommend not doing that. Uh, now that I know, but yeah, you'll get the sense of accomplishment from completing different projects that you want to do, and it'll gear yourself up for those bigger projects whenever you do eventually take them on. So that would be my recommendation, if that answers your question, Austin.
Makes a lot of sense, boss. I truly appreciate it. Apologize
Hey,
for interrupting the show. No, no, no. That's not an
no,
interruption.
yeah,
That's what the
no,
show's for, man.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, one last Bricklink question, I think.
Yeah,
Do you go all new, used? Do you mix it up?
mix it up. Yeah, I think we'll see. I think I usually go with used. For white, that's a tricky one. And
Yes,
now
it
that
is.
I'm about to go into Camino, I think I'm gonna lean more towards new parts. Just because I want to make sure, like, because I have a bunch of white parts from way back in the early 2000s, and uh, barely passable for white anymore, right? So I want to make sure that whenever I do make this project, that it looks as clean as possible, because that's just how the environment is, and then strategically use those kind of off-white parts depending on the project. Like maybe you're doing the Tanta 4 hallway, and maybe you want the white that's around like the door that just got blasted open to maybe be some of those discolored white parts to kind of show like the battle damage or whatever. Or maybe you have like a snowy plain and you have a gunship that just crashed and skidded across the field, and maybe some of those areas where the ship impacted could be those off-colored whites. Like I'm not opposed to using those. It's just a little bit more intentional and strategic. But I think for this project, we'll lean towards new. But yeah, no, I use new, used, mix. Um, I look at what the seller describes it as, going back to looking at their splash or their terms and conditions. I look at what their definition of like a used part is. Do they have a classification for it? Like if good condition means X, Y, and Z, then maybe I can tolerate that and be like, okay, well, if it's in this condition, then that should be fine. If used means, hey, it's going to have possible bite marks, this, that, and the other, then I'm going to be like, I might pass on that and go straight for new. But I do rely on the Bricklink seller's description. That's something that I definitely pay attention to. And that ultimately determines whether we go mix or if I lean towards new.
Yeah, there's potential savings with used, but there's also, like you said, potential headaches. And
Yeah.
I don't understand how people actually keep parts with bite marks in their store.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
vintage figs, whatnot, I get it. They don't exist anymore. I'm always hesitant to throw those things away. And
Yeah.
for minifigs, a little bit of damage I think is okay as long as you're very clear about it.
Yeah.
On a 1 cent part, your space is more valuable than a chew brick.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah. And I mean, depends on what you do. You could always repurpose it. I think any like some of my old pieces that either are heavily discolored or broken, I'll usually use them for my decal setups. So whenever I'm decaling figures, usually to hold all those together, this might seem like a sin to anyone that's listening, but I'll glue them together because I just need a firm stand to where I'm placing these parts on with the decals. And so I think I had some old like Mega Blocks sets and whatnot, and that's what I use those for. I'm like, well, I'm gonna be purist. I'm not gonna have some Mega Blocks in my Lego sets, even though I have a ton of light gray 2x4 pieces that would be perfect. I'm like, I can't do that. Reputation's on the line. Don't want to be that guy. So we'll use them for the decal little towers that I've got. And so anytime I get like a broken part or something and I can use it, well, it's going to get glued and used anyways. So might as well use that so that way I can set up multiple decal stations. Because I have a ton of decals that I want to get to expand those clone armies. So depending on what you do and what projects you get into, you can always repurpose things, right? So just got to be creative, think outside the box.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's value in filler brick too, I suppose. Big
100%.
structures. Yeah, I mean,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, if you're doing Mills plates, a couple teeth marks aren't going to hurt you.
It builds character. Yeah.
Yeah. Decals. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. How did you find out about decals, and how does that work exactly? Do you make them yourself or do you buy
So
them?
yeah, so I buy them. I would love to learn how to do them. I think that's something I definitely want to go down the rabbit hole on to make some of my own custom figures. I don't remember. I don't know how I got hooked on decals. I'll be honest. I do remember looking at I think Jonak Toys had like a tutorial for how to make some decals with some of his tools and things that he had. And so I watched a couple YouTube videos, thought, that seems simple enough. I just got to get the tools and the blank parts. That I thought was the hardest part at the time because this was all so new to me. I think I saw on someone's Instagram post a clone trooper or something that I'm like, well, I know Lego doesn't make that. And I don't think I've seen any custom pad printed or UV printed sellers. I don't think I've seen them make that. So how did he do it? And it looked like a very economical way to grow and build your armies. And so it just became something that I was very interested in. Like, okay, can I get this in the 2020 style, which a lot of resellers, or not resellers, but sellers like LSW Customs, based out of France, love his products. Um, I have I definitely have a tendency to go to his website and like just see what kind of designs he makes, and I'll get a whole slew of them. I have a huge backlog of his decals, that I'm so excited to get to at some point. I think I have to make a goal to where maybe I decal 4 figures a week or something, so I can finally get through um, that backlog. But he expanded on like the 21st Nova Corps, like the Galactic Marines, which is, aside from the 187th Legion, one of my favorites. Um, for obvious reasons, like, yeah, just Marines, good to go. But I also like the color and the style that he uses. It was so cool, and I think it's too niche for people to make UV or pad printed, or at least maybe the general public isn't as interested as I am. Um, and I know that is the case with a couple other custom non-clone related figures. So it's something I want to get into. It's a fun process if you like working with your hands. You just cut out the decals, and then apply them in water, put them on the blank parts. Then you use like a solution to kind of make sure that it adheres. Then you use a sealer, and all this stuff you could do just like at your desk. You don't have to get like Krylon sealer or anything like that. I think Jonak sells all the tools that you need, or you can get them easily off of Amazon. And so it's a fun project to work on. It's still Lego, but it feels a little bit different, and I enjoy it. It can be tedious, and if you mess up, it gives you an opportunity to go outside the box and try to make something even more custom than the figure you were already trying to make. I think when I did the 327th, I didn't know of any UV or pad printer sellers at the time making them, so I used a ton of decals and I messed up a ton of helmets, like just getting the alignment perfect, or I'd miss something and then I'd just slap like a Republic logo on a side of the helmet where they were supposed to be yellow or something like that. You can have fun with it. It might be initial frustration because you didn't get it perfect, but then it gives you an opportunity to make something unique. So I think there's a lot of fun that comes with that. But I definitely would love to explore it more. I think there's a ton of characters in Star Wars that you could probably make with decals if you can get the right blank parts. Um, that I've tried to reach out to some folks to see if they'd like to make it. Haven't got any bites because they might be a little bit too niche. That's okay. You know what? If I can't work with someone else, I'll find a way to do it, and hopefully that inspires interest for other projects. So we'll see. That's all I've really got on decals at this point.
How do you get your blank helmets? Do you have to scrub those, or can you actually source those somehow?
So fortunate for me, I'm able to find folks that sell them. They they're probably the ones that are scrubbing it, or they're getting it from somebody. It could be maybe it's using like the 3D printer technology. There's so much stuff that's happened since like the early 2000s that I would have never thought of as a kid. But I think technology's come a ways to where people are able to replicate, whether it's using like the authentic material that Lego uses or something similar. And if it's decals, I'm not super purist. If it's something that gets the shape and the hand pieces can collapse onto other Lego parts, then it's fine by me. Because at the end of the day, like I'm making a decal of Lego. Like I don't need it to be the authentic ABS plastic that Lego uses. Would that be nice? Yes. Does it look like Lego and it's a custom decal figure? That's fine. Like at least to me. I know there's probably some purists that are like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like, but that's an easy way for me to source it. Is I think going through Jonak, GCC or Grandpa Clone Customs, I think even Clone Army Customs would sell some blank parts. That's something I'd probably need to research a little bit more. It's like how did they do it? But I'm pretty sure they have their own 3D printer or some sort of technology to make that happen. Because without them, I mean, I could just look at the little sheets of the decals and be like, oh man, this would be cool to put on a figure, but I don't have the means to do it. So, very blessed that there are those sellers out there that can provide those parts. Um, which again, because I think Jonak had a lot of sales during my time overseas. I definitely took him up on a lot of those sales, and so we, needless to say, we've got all the parts we need. I just need to do it. Like that's the hard part is getting the time when you have so many projects that you want to do, and prioritizing it can be difficult. So that's a
Yeah,
that's a me problem.
yeah, yeah. You can't have too many builds going on at once. You
Yeah,
drive yourself crazy.
100%. Yeah.
Uh, how do you store your inventory?
Oh, great question. That's
What's the
something I'm
basic
trying to
stuff?
figure out right now. Uh, Kind of the nice thing about having a new start is figuring out how I want to organize everything. So I kind of have like what you have in the background there, all those different trays. They're all in front of me right now. They're all empty, and I'm trying to figure out a good sorting system to where I can. I've got another chair over here. I want to make it to where I can just go over there, pick and pull different parts or different trays, come back over to this workspace and start working on little modular pieces that I can then use in my mock studio room. But I haven't figured out how I want to organize them. I think I saw David with Solid Brick Studios give an idea for how he values or how he sorts pieces by the part, and it's all very situation dependent, right? But if you have, let's say, a ton of 2x4 brick, you might just sort it by the brick itself and not necessarily by color. But if you only had maybe a handful of those, maybe you would do it by color. You'd need to watch this video to like get um, the full idea of what he was getting at. But that's kind of what I'm gravitating towards. Is I think at this point there's a lot of parts that I have in a ton of different colors that I might just throw in one of the bigger tubs. Um, Especially the bigger pieces like and again, I'm very visual, so I just go off of what I see. I don't know like all the part numbers or what the nomenclature is, but there's like a angled piece that I use for my Guido a lot, and those I think I'm gonna just throw in a tub, like all the different colors, because I've got so many, and I'm about to buy more for the little cloning platforms that you see on Camino. I'd like to use those pieces again. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to figure that part out. That's another reason why I've kind of, at least on social media, I've said, hey, it's going to be probably until late May before I really start ramping up again, because I want to make this process solid, because it's what I'm going to be using at least for the next 3 years while I'm in this location, and I want it to be efficient. I don't want it to be a total Lego bomb that's gone off in my mock room, because that's what it was when I came back. I was like, I've got no time. We've got to make Felicia happen. There's cardboard boxes with bags everywhere. There is no order. It is just chaotic, and you know, I don't want to experience that again. So if you have any tips, would love to hear it. I'm absolutely receptive, because I definitely want it to be like a good process moving forward.
Yeah, it's always sort by part type, not by color.
Yeah.
So, like, don't put all of your light bluish gray in a bucket. You'll never find what you're looking for in there.
Yep.
It's horrible.
Yep.
It's we started off with, I think I initially bought five of these because I thought five was a good number.
Right.
And then I realized that I could do five in a column, but I actually started off storing these in the bedroom to keep them away from the kids that were smaller.
Yeah.
That that didn't work. So now I had to buy a second one and get 6 so they could be even.
Yeah.
And when you organize like that, you quickly realize that you're putting things together that you don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
or you need to expand quickly.
Yes.
And sometimes they go on sale, and expanding quickly becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's I would start off by getting the 6 quart shoe boxes from
Yes.
Walmart.
Yeah.
In addition to these, those things, the lids hold really well,
Yeah.
and they're clear enough that you can see through them really easily,
Yeah.
and they're cheap. I don't know
And you
whatever
said
it is. It's
6 quart. I'm gonna just
yeah,
type this up real quick so I don't forget. It's like
yeah,
6 quart.
yeah. 6 quart Sterilite on Walmart.
Okay.
I forget what it is. It's, I don't know, 10 of them for $16 or some cheap number like that. But they're
Yeah.
great. I mean, you could drop them and they don't crack.
Yeah.
They clean very easily, and
Perfect.
they're great. You got a lot of 2x4 bricks. Dump them in there, stack them up. You know exactly what's in there every time.
Nice. Yeah,
Really
I think
handy.
that would definitely be handy. Yeah, because like I think I've got trays that are similar to what you have for like those different that different setup. But I think for some of those parts, yeah, you do need just a little bit more storage than what those can provide. So yeah, that might be the key to success over here. And then that way I can easily see like what is in those tubs.
Yeah. And it's real easy to if they're only partially full,
Yeah,
you could just whip all the lids off and make it a smaller stack, much easier to carry around the room.
nice.
It's very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Keys to success. I like it.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
short money.
yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Spend the money on the bricks, not the containers.
100%.
Excuse me. Let's see here. So, what's the process like moving Lego? How is that?
That is stressful. I think that's more stressful than selling my house, to be honest. Like it's like just finally built back some of these sets. And I can see the acclimator in the bottom right of my screen, and it's a sad thing to look at. That was the one thing so far that has been a failure. I got a good recommendation from Caleb over at Blackwell Bricks. I think he saw me post on my story that I was originally just dismantling all my sets like down to the base pieces, and he's like, "Whoa, brother, what are you doing?" Because I eventually got to my 2007 MTT, and it was starting, that brittle brown. I think it was one of the plates in the back. I brought it up, and it just chipped a little bit off, and I'm like, "Oh no, oh no, what are we doing?" And he's like, "Hey, brother, how about you just get some bubble wrap like large sections of the sets, or like if you can take them apart into like big pieces, just bubble wrap that, throw it in a bin or a tub, and then you should be good to go." And that was the best advice that I got, because I'd start maybe taking some sets apart. Like, for instance, I've got this Jedi Starfighter over here. You could just bubble wrap it on its own, but what I do is just take apart like the wing pieces and the cockpit and put those all in like a Ziploc bag, compress it to where it gets a little bit closer to not airtight, but close enough, and then bubble wrap it. And that worked out really well. Not any bending, because that was another big thing. It's just like plates. I didn't want them to bend. That happened to my uh, V19 Torrent Starfighter that I got way back whenever I was a kid. The wings on that thing are very thin and very long, and because I didn't think about the way they were packed back then, definitely those pieces just like there's no way to bend that back without it breaking. So that's unfortunate. I might have to source some bricklink pieces in order to restore that back to its former glory. But that was a huge recommendation that saved me, was the bubble wrap. Unfortunately, for some of my more fragile builds, like that acclimator, I remember setting after like numerous tight wraps of the bubble wrap, setting it into the tub, and it barely fit without the bubble wrap. I didn't realize that it got a little thicker with the bubble wrap, and so now it's just not scratching up against the tub, but there's a lot of friction, and it's causing those for lack of better words, like the sides or like not really wings, but like the sides of that acclimator to like go up. And as I left it in, I could feel half of it sink further into the tub, and I was like, "Oh man, that
Oh,
thing is uh dismantled." I hope the damage isn't too bad whenever we get to our next station. And then I pulled it out yesterday. Oh yeah, that thing is gonna need some time, love, and attention to to get it back. I might have to take it all apart again. But the UCS AT-AT again could easily take that apart. Thank goodness the Lego designers thought that through. Was able to bubble wrap that. Everything's fine. It's just some of the more fragile builds that Lego didn't make. Those are the ones that I was the most concerned about, because the good thing about Lego is I think they do a pretty good job of making pretty sturdy sets, or at least they do nowadays for the most part. Um, so there hasn't been any complaints with that. Just bubble wrap, throw it in a tub, pack the spaces. Like if you're a mock builder, like pack it with like little small bags to kind of fill in the gaps, make the most of the space, and then send it on its way, and everything should work out fine, or at least it's worked out pretty fine for me. That would be my recommendation. Huge shout out to Caleb from Blackwell Bricks. He saved me on that one. I'll say that.
that is a great fear of mine, is moving. We've
Oh
talked
yeah,
about it basically every summer for the last 3 or 4 years. Oh, we should move, and every year there's more and more Lego, and it's like, oh no, like
yeah,
it's I don't know.
scary.
We're not done listing, but we're figuring we got 250,000 pieces in here anyway.
Yeah,
That's
quarter
about
of a
what the drawers.
million.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We're at 37,000 listed right now,
yeah.
and we've got 1.5 columns listed, plus some
Yep.
of the hopper drawers. So we got another 1,400 drawers to list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't want to move that.
No, it's well, especially for what you're doing too. It's very much organized, and yeah, it's like how do you move something that you've spent so much time and care organizing, and you know where everything's at. Now you have to take what you know and put it in disarray until you get to your next station. But once it's done, it's done. At least I'll say that part. Like the worst part is just getting it started. I think getting it started is the worst part. Once you're in it, you're in it, and you're like,
Right.
okay, this is just what I have to do now. But yeah, get that initiation stage of moving and physically taking something out of its place. That might be something that you guys struggle with initially. It's just a mental part of the game, and once you get past that, it gets easier. At least that's what I keep telling myself.
It's Yeah. I'm honestly more concerned about my daughter's sets, because
Yeah,
if those were to fall, I mean, she doesn't have anything massive. She's 8.
yeah.
But if those fell apart, she'd be devastated and she would not rebuild them. She would
Oh,
just be
really?
upset.
Yeah,
And then I would be buying her more new things,
yeah.
which, yeah,
That might be strategic on her part. Maybe she knows, and she's like, maybe if I just don't mess with this, then we can get us something sweet.
yep. And daddy's a sucker. So,
Yeah. Just taking care of her. I can
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah. She just got to get into a better theme. It's all Minecraft.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Which,
That's a theme I would have never guessed. But it makes sense.
yeah.
It does kind of make sense. They're both heavy on building and creativity, so
Yeah.
naturally.
And you get a decent amount of minifigures for your money, which I appreciate. And she loves that you can basically put any one next to any other one, and they look close enough to a match, and now
Yeah.
you can have a play set.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
$40 for two cheap sets, you end up with five minifigures, and now there's a battle. So
Yeah.
that's not so bad.
No, I think that's a pretty sweet deal.
And she doesn't need to kill anybody because half of the characters are already dead.
Well, there you go. Too easy.
Yeah, saves on the violence for me.
Amen. Amen to that.
All right, let's see here. Uh, so through this whole process, you've obviously connected with a fair amount, the Lego community, between Instagram and I believe you said that, or at one point you said that YouTube wasn't your thing as much as Instagram. Are you
Yeah.
coming around to that a little bit more?
Uh trying to. Yeah, I think we've gathered some substantial traction on YouTube, or at least from previous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's difficult. I think Instagram, that I just gravitate towards that, even though I started with YouTube. I like the idea of taking those pictures, creating the post. I feel like it's a more holistic way to capture the story, and it just seems, I don't know if user friendly is the right term, but I like the way it's set up. I like the stills of the project that I'm working on, where I think I can spend 45 minutes doing that, which it amazes me that that's how much time goes from the time that I'm done with all the pictures or photography. Like the moment I sit down to make the post, by the time it's done, it's probably 45 minutes has gone by, because that's how much I try to think about the caption, what photos I'm using. Do I need to enhance some of the I don't know. Sometimes I might use a filter or something if I'm trying to make, maybe the environment's a cold environment and I want to make it feel just a little bit colder or whatnot. Like I try to incorporate all that. And with YouTube, you can get so far into the weeds on the video editing, and I don't even know if novice is the right term. Like I'm just very beginner level with editing and videos, and it's something I respect. It's something that I know I need to get better at, but it takes up so much time, and it's hard for me to justify doing it, doing like something that's well crafted, which I think is the expectation in today's world. These like high production level videos. Um, I'm just a Neanderthal. That takes up so much time, and the way my brain interprets it is you're spending more time on a video that you already really didn't want to do, and you're not building. And my time gets stretched enough as it is with um, the requirements of my profession and all the other things I have to do, even outside of the workplace area, that are expected of me. And then finally, I get to carve out time for the this hobby that I really want to spend more time on. That's why I like the Instagram posts, and yeah, and Instagram. I tried it because I just wasn't getting much traction on YouTube at the time. I don't know if it was just me being impatient, probably that, and then just not producing the stuff that was of quality with what people who were already consuming Lego content were accustomed to. So I tried Instagram, I gave it a shot, and it was awesome to see the slow progression. And a lot of the folks that were with me in my earlier days still message me and talk to me, and we'll just you know shoot casual messages in the DMs or in the comments section. Um, Getting to have some one-on-ones with different folks. Like now I talk with Austin with Austin's Bricks, Kennedy with True Squadron, Cole, Lego Man 360, like Justin with Mall's Vengeance, like all these different guys, and that I was looking up to when I first got started, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get to their level. And not to like say like, oh, now I've arrived, but like I've gotten to a point where I can talk with these guys, and we get to share ideas, interests, talk about even things outside of Lego, and it's nice. And even with the folks, like I think one of my buddies, Josh, uh, he's from Australia, and he and I have like some similar background outside of Lego, and so we can relate on that front. but also on the Lego aspect, share our inspirations, um, and things of that nature. And it's so much fun to be able to have that time to talk with people about something that we're all very interested in for one reason or another. I think now, as I've started to grow more, it becomes harder to always be attentive with everybody because I want to respect people's time. If we have a conversation, like I want to be engaged. And once you've opened yourself up to so many people, um, it becomes harder and harder to spend that quality time with them because I don't want to leave anybody out. So that's something I've just liked with Instagram. I feel very connected with it. I like it. It's a very easy way to set up the projects or display them the way I want to. Where I feel like YouTube, if I throw out something on YouTube, they're gonna be like, "All right, cool, man. Like you gotta do a little bit more work." Like where's I think I threw out some shorts for one of my projects. Like, where's the full length YouTube video? It seems like there's a lot more expectation, and I'm sure there is on Instagram too. But it's just like I felt like with Instagram, I had a lot of people following with me through my journey. Where now that we've started to grow a tiny bit on YouTube, there's expectation, but I just didn't feel the same belonging with people because they weren't with me that entire time. So maybe that's a little bit more sentimental feeling I have with the Instagram folks, even though there's a lot of Instagram folks that also followed me onto YouTube. Um, that's just more the reason why I gravitated to Instagram. I just feel that community, and I think there's just more opportunity to interact than YouTube, if that makes sense. It's a very
Yeah,
long-winded way to answer that question for sure.
yeah, yeah. That makes good sense because, well, first of all, YouTube doesn't even have any kind of DM system,
No.
so it's hard to make any real connection that way. And Instagram, you don't get the wild herd of randos like you do in YouTube.
Oh yeah.
It's Instagram is just an expansion of your network.
Yes.
You know, it's you grow from the edges of your circle. With YouTube, somebody just catches something in search and comes out of left field, and then it's the algorithm catches it, and then 75 just people come in, and it's all nonsense,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
then somebody's trying to sell you Bitcoin in the comments.
Yeah. Because that's what we wanted, right? That's the kind of
Yeah,
engagement we are looking for.
yeah,
Yeah, that is very true. There'll be times like I'll look in some of the comments and I'm like, what is going on here? Or like someone will be like, oh, that cool project, yeah, I want to buy it. I'm like, it's not for sale. That's not how this works. Like, I don't know if those are just bots or something like that, but that's a comment I see a lot is cool. How much? I'm like, how much for what? Like the mock, the figures. Like, what are you talking about? Um, yeah, it's not again another reason why I just go back to Instagram. I like getting people's feedback because again, like I'm doing this for me, but it's also because I mean, I could just do this on my own, take pictures and enjoy them. Whenever I have a cup of coffee in the morning, be like, oh, that was a cool project. But it's not that I do that and I get to share it with people on Instagram, hear what they liked, what maybe they would have seen that could have been better. And a good example of that was that acclimator bridge. When I thought I was done with it, I think the lights I used made it look a little bit too blue and like really dark. And I think some of the comments were like, "Oh man, it would look really good if you used, maybe a little bit less blue lighting or something different." And your first instinct is to be like, "Oh no, this is great. Like, what are you talking about? You're wrong." But like, thankfully, I pushed that part of my brain out of the way and was like, "Okay, they might be onto something. Let's try something out. Let's switch the lights." And it turned out even better. And that's why I'm so thankful for that DM system, or at least the comments, because amazing suggestion. It made the project look 10 times better. And so like, I don't know if people realize it or not, but I do look through those comments or those DMs, and if you take the time to say it to me, like, okay, then I'll look into it. And if it's something where I'm like, oh no, I'm pretty confident this is good, then maybe I'll stick with it. But if it's something where I'm like, hey, you might be onto something, let's give it a shot. I'll gladly give it a shot and try something different. Um, but I think now now that we've taken a lot of suggestions for different projects, I'm ready to do somewhere I'm like, this might not be the most popular thing that people want to see right now, but this is what I want to do. And hopefully people can enjoy it. Because I think right now, what I've observed in the space is it seems like, at least with Lego Star Wars, right? There's I'm trying to think of like how to word it, but it seems like there's an expectation for a lot of mainstream depictions of certain stories, or like I think Andor season 2 is out right now, so I'm sure there's going to be a ton of Andor season 2 related MOCs, which is cool. That's great. Or stuff based off of the Clone Wars TV show, and that stuff's cool too. I guess because that's not really what I grew up with, like the Clone Wars, for instance. That was like right at the beginning of my dark ages. I lean towards like that old multimedia project. That's the kind of stuff I don't really see a whole lot of, and would love to explore more of. I know True Squadron. He's had at least a couple of little I don't know if teasers are the right word, but like little Easter eggs for different stuff. And I know a bunch of other creators have done that as well, but like, that's something I definitely want to dive into. Like the Force Unleashed, Clone Wars, Bounty Hunter. I mean, that's why I teamed up with Thrawn's Revenge and I gave him that commission to make Jaster's Legacy. I'm like, no one's ever done it. I think someone made like a small miniature version, but no one had made a play scale version of it. And I was like, not that I'd want to be the first one, but I want to bring this into the space. And now someone can buy the instructions and they can make it. And no better timing than when the UCS Slave One, Django Slave One, not Django Starship or whatever, the Slave One comes out. It's like no better timing because that's the ship that ultimately blew up Jaster's Legacy, so that Django could, take that as his own. So many things are lining up perfectly, and especially with some of these projects that I want to get into. I think that helps. That helps the drive to do these little niche projects that maybe people wouldn't know they were interested in until they saw it for themselves.
What is
BSOMOL.
this?
I know a lot of acronyms, brother, but I don't know if I know that one. BSOML.
Best set of my life.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
thank you,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about. Like I'm right in that category of like very late stage millennial, but like not the stage that like got to be super integrated with technology enough to be dangerous with it. Like I'm at the Neanderthal part of that.
Gotcha.
So
I'm with you. I'm on the
yeah,
tail end of Gen X.
yep,
So
yeah. So
most of these acronyms are just from listening to people and
yep.
the things that they say repeatedly.
Oh
And
yeah,
he says
yeah.
best set of my life a lot. So
That that makes sense. I
yeah,
remember thinking like, oh, I'm never gonna be out on the lingo or like all the memes and all that stuff. I'm always gonna know what's up to date. And I think once I got out of college, or even when I was in college, I think I already was like out of tune. And yeah, yeah, we have not recovered since. So always something new to learn. That's for sure.
yeah. I think I was almost 40 when I figured out what a meme was.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, all good.
I caught this one wrong because my vision sucks. I thought this said Nate is my mom.
Oh no,
That's a
no, I'm
C.
not.
All right. Yeah, that's a C. All right.
That is a C. Yeah. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Austin.
Yeah, somebody's listening to this with the screen off and what the hell is going on
Yeah, what are they talking about?
here? Let's see. So, who do you take most inspiration from? You've mentioned a couple guys. Are they
Yeah.
prime targets there?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. In terms of mock building, I definitely say it would go down to, and I think this is pretty universal for a lot of mock builders, at least in the Lego Star Wars space, would be David with Solid Brick Studios. Just seeing the magnitude of what's possible. Um, I remember coming out of the dark ages. It's just like a random YouTube video was recommended. I probably had a buzzword or keyword of something about Star Wars because I'd always follow Star Wars content. Just wasn't Lego, and so his Kashyyyk mock from way back in the day popped up, and I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing. Like by today's standards, like you might not think it's the most detailed thing or like the style is very early 2010s, but I'm viewing it in 2023. I'm like, no, this is legit. Like this is sweet. And let's see, I'd say him, Rich Boy J, Firebird. Um, he definitely brought me to where I am today, like watching his videos, his Christophsis mock, following that project, following Kennedy's True Squadrons, Kashyyyk mock, like all that stuff. Those guys, and even Cole with 360, Lego Man 360, I'd view his videos, and from those individuals, I'd go down the rabbit hole on so many different projects that people would make, and I'd say those are the key. Those were the key folks that I'd watch their videos because it was probably like a good month or two leading up to May 1st of 2020. I want to say 2023. That's when I came back. So leading up to May 4th, those are the guys that I watched, and they ultimately tipped me over into coming back to this space. Oh, Coconut Brick Studios. That's another one. Huge account that I'd followed as well. Because at the time, what was he working on? He was working on. It was before Megiddo. Uh, Coruscant. Yeah, he was working on his Coruscant mock. But that was awesome to follow through as well. And again, back to no better timing. May 4th promo came around, and I think that's when the this little Death Star was a
Yep,
gift with purchase
that
at
was
the
the one.
time. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean it was just so cool, such an awesome time to get back into the hobby, and it just felt like, and it still does, but it just felt like there's so many possibilities after seeing whatever people were able to do, and just diving further and further into the community and looking past the big names into what other creators were doing. Um, and still to this day, like someone will put something on their story of what another creator made, and I'll be like, oh, that's legit, like that is awesome, and then I'll follow them to see, or as Palpatine said in Phantom Menace, we'll watch your career with great interest. That I do that with a lot of these guys. Like it's so awesome to see what they make, and I'm like, man, uh, if they continue to do this, like they're just gonna be huge, and it's so cool to see like where they may go. So to answer your question, yeah, those individuals that I listed, those are probably going to be the sparks that lit my interest, the light that I still follow, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. And got to point out that most of them have also been guests on the Brick Connection.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Austin has definitely squared them away,
Yep.
getting some heavy hitters out there. So,
Yeah, right out
um,
of the gate.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. No, he's got it figured out. But yeah, no, it's cool, and it's cool to see um their thought process, how they tackle their projects. Because although there's a lot of similarities, I think between all mock creators, we go through very similar challenges, but it's interesting to see the different ways that we all go through it, or the similarities. Um, it makes you realize, like, hey, this is just another dude or gal that is working on similar projects, and we, regardless of your status in the community, like we all have something that we can learn from each other. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's. I look at some of those things and just get so blown away because I don't have it in me to do that. To that, I have a very addictive personality, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I do a little bit of something and then I do all of it forever,
Yes.
and which which I acknowledge is not very healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't dare even consider any of that. Like I hate Instagram that I can't just zoom in and have it stay put.
Yeah, that does suck.
That drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But I'll be the idiot holding my phone and zooming in and moving it around for like 10 minutes.
No,
And
no, that's cool. I do the same
oh
thing.
man,
I'm right there with you.
yeah, it's somebody needs to create like an app to stack over Instagram so you can move things better. It'd be great.
That would be nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
and not have to constantly just like have your fingers in the um like the zoom in motion or whatever,
yeah,
just so you can see a little bit finer detail. Yeah,
yeah.
I
And
agree.
inevitably, your thumb is covering up whatever you're trying to look at, so it just
Yep. Yeah, it's a wash.
yeah, what a nuisance. But yeah, man, it's great. Oh, love it. All right, I think I have one more here for you.
Perfect. Yeah.
So you were talking about your next project.
Yes. Yeah.
Any teases there?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll kind of go into a couple. The first one, which I've articulated on Instagram a lot, is the beginning of the Republic Commando series in a way. So my intent is to go through the game, pick out certain events or details or just things that are a part of the story that I would like to depict in Lego. And it was requested that I would do it in order of the game, which makes sense, but is unfortunate because I have no dark orange parts. And right after I get done with Camino, immediately we go into Geonosis. So there might be a little bit of a break, and that's why I want to do phases. So hence, we are doing the Camino phase of the Republic Commando MOC series right now, and or here in May, we'll begin that phase. So my intent is to, in order to capture as many sequences. Let me ask you this before I go into it, because I don't want to leave anything out or leave you hanging. Have you played the game Republic Commando, or have you
no,
seen any footage?
nope.
Okay, so to kind of give you an idea, at the beginning of the game, it opens with you being in the little birthing pod as like an infant, and one of the Kaminoans is like talking to you, kind of like being like a narrator throughout this sequence. And every couple of seconds, it's a cut of you growing up as a clone. So one segment you're in the pod, the next you're with all the other clone children, like on the little data pads, kind of like that little like school study like training environment that Obi-Wan sees whenever he's going through the Camino facility. There's like a shooting range. There's a spot where they get to pick up their armor, get their commando helmets, all that stuff. There's a sequence where they're in a training facility trying to shoot. Uh, where is it? I've got this advanced dwarf spider droid. It's like there's a segment where they're attacking this thing like in a simulation, and then it ultimately gets to the part where you get to meet your team, Delta Squad. So you are Boss, a clone with orange markings. You've got Sev, who is another clone with like some like almost like blood esque looking red paint. Scorch in his yellow, and then you got Fixer in his green. And the narrator or the Camino win is just telling you that hey, you are all individual parts of a whole person, and that your team is going to go out and do all the great things that the Republic needs you to do. And so it ends with, after you meet your team, you're like on the parade deck or something of the facility, and you just see all these gunships going by. The ATTEs are loading up onto the acclimators. The formations of clones are all getting ready to head out to the Battle of Geonosis, and then that's where it ends. As you get up on your gunship, and then screen goes to black, and then kind of like in a logbook, it'll say like, "Hey, we're now on hour 0, day 1 of the battle of the Clone Wars, like going to Geonosis." So before we get to
Ooh,
that part, I want to depict as many of those sequences in a mock about the size of Felucia. And so my idea is, and I don't think maybe besides Austin and maybe one or two people, I don't think I've articulated this yet, but my idea is to get something the size of Felicia in width and length, and have some of those spires with like the little cloning pods that you see in like the movies in the game, and then different segments on the ground floor. There's going to be a facility for the shooting range, the school area. There might be a platform where we'll see like the Camino in like talking to one of the little infants or like observing them in like the pod to like show the beginning of the game, and just all these different sequences. I'm going to try to add without making it look cluttered, like making it look like, yep, this looks like the cloning facility that we would see in the Bad Batch or in the game or in the movie. Something reminiscent of that. And then there'd be another mock that I would make where it's out on the parade deck or outside the facility where all the clones are gearing up to head out. The original intent was to include that acclimator on a platform that would look like it was far off in the distance, because again, that's obviously not to scale with the figures, but I would have put it in a placement where it looked like it was off in the distance and clones were loading up. But now that it has become impaired at the moment, I might have to scrap that idea, or maybe make I'm toying with the idea of making smaller acclimators and like showing like multiple acclimators like look like they're going up into the atmosphere to get ready to go into
Ooh.
space. So smaller scale, but maybe a little bit more doable, and maybe I can get more of them. So that's something I'm trying to play with. But yeah, that's the intent. I'm super excited to tackle that. I think it'll be a fun feat. But the parts that I haven't explained to anybody, I've kept it all up here until now, was that I want to get into some other things. So although it is the Camino phase of Republic Commando, there are some other projects on Camino related to Camino uh, that I would like to implement. Some of which come from the Force Unleashed games, which Force Unleashed 2. I'm not sure if you played that, but it follows the story of um, a failed apprentice that Darth Vader had, like a secret apprentice in the first game, and then ultimately he betrays that apprentice because Darth Sidious finds out about him. He has to cover up his tracks, then tries to say like find him again or revitalize him and say, well, now that you're dead, why don't you go find the Emperor's enemies, like the rebellion, rally them together so we can just knock them out in one swoop. This was all before like Rogue One and all that stuff. So the lore behind how the rebellion was formed in Legends is a little bit fluid or flexible. So in the games, Starkiller unites Bail Organa, all these folks to make the rebellion, and then Vader betrays him again and is like, "Yeah, now I'm going to kill you and all your friends. Like, yeah, you're not going to overthrow Darth Sidious with me." Because again, Luke's got to do it, right? But he doesn't know that yet. Anyways, Star Wars and stories. But eventually he dies trying to save the rebellion, or so you think, because the second game opens with a clone of Starkiller. Like Darth Vader is trying to clone him to make more of his apprentices, but you are trying to figure out, are you a clone or are you the real Starkiller that was, miraculously brought back to life? And I think it's left ambiguous, or the ambiguous, as to whether you are actually a clone or not. But it takes place, the beginning and the end of the game take place on Camino, and so there's one or two different scenes I would like to depict that aren't necessarily related to the Republic Commando mock, but a little side mock that I'm going to be working on. And I've got all the figures, uh, which I'm super stoked about. And now I just got to make the platform, or that might be giving a little bit too much away, but there's a certain setting that I need to make now, and I'm so excited to like start snapping those photos and making the description for it. Like I can see it all in my head, and hopefully I can make it as true to the content or the source material and what I had envisioned. Because of course it's not going to be 100% identical. I'll put my own spin on it, and hopefully, if anyone's played the games, or even if they haven't, if they can just appreciate it, hopefully they like it. But I'm looking forward to making it. So we'll see how well it's received.
So okay. So the new clone cadets are gonna be perfect for you.
That's right. Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
just blessings on the timing. That gift with purchase, like I heard the rumors of, it's going to be an escape pod. It'll have like young Boba Fett or something. I'm like, okay, that's whatever. And then I saw it's the enforcer from the cloning facilities and all the cadets. I'm like, we're hitting the jackpot like
Yeah.
multiple times because I was gonna have to create that enforcer because you do see it. A fan had made an updated version because that game came out in 2004 or 5, so they updated the graphics to like now. And I think there's one sequence where the students are all in their chairs, and you see one of the enforcers like coming over, looking at them, and then going off. So I wanted to kind of depict that. So I was like, well, I'm gonna have to figure out how to make that weird looking vehicle. But Lego did me a solid, and now I just got to get my hands on a gift with purchase, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I think those are gonna be expensive.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just because of the minifigs. I think if it was just the enforcer, well, yeah, even if it was like a unique Kaminoan, it'd probably still be expensive. But the fact that it's 3 of those clones, and it's
Yeah.
got the arm printing, and it's got the leg printing, oh yeah, that is going to be a hot ticket commodity right there. I'm sure. So that's why we got to get it on the first go around because I think trying to go to find one on Bricklink is going to be a expensive venture to say
Yeah.
the least. Yeah.
Yeah. 50 plus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what that droid carrier, I mean, you would know better than I do. Was like, I think it was like about $45 after the fact or after it became a gift with purchase. The one from Phantom Menace. I think it was last year's gift with purchase.
Yeah. We were selling those in June. I think it was late May, early June for 75 a piece on Amazon.
Oh shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's legit though. Hey, did you sell them?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
not too easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it made the rest of the purchase real cheap.
Oh yeah.
It's like whatever it was, 150, $160 threshold.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon's fees are ridiculous. After fees and shipping, it's 30% or something they take.
Oh, no kidding. Dang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Well,
lot.
do you still dabble with Amazon, or have you completely converted over?
Yeah, I'm completely off Amazon now. So
Yeah.
it's Bricklink, Marketplace, eBay.
Nice.
I mean, I really haven't touched eBay much in a while.
Yeah.
We'll get back on there. Might have to get into Walmart and start selling on there soon.
Oh, nice.
Because we have too much Lego. We have a storage unit that's half full of Lego too, and all of our closets. So
No kidding. Oh cow.
we gotta start. We gotta start getting some more of that out the door.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Right. All right, man. Well, it has been awesome. I gotta get rolling. Start getting packed up for tomorrow. I appreciate your time. This has been fantastic. I've learned a ton.
Yeah, no, hey Ken, I appreciate you bringing me on. I've really enjoyed the conversation and being able to talk with you about, just a hobby from both sides of the table that we both enjoy. And I really appreciate you letting me kind of share this information with everyone else that was able to tune in or on the replay gang. And uh, I wish you safe travels on your trip here soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you guys, everyone, for hopping in. If you are not already following, go over to Instagram, follow Nate, go to YouTube, even if he's not going to post there as much as you want him to.
I'll still say
Just I'm
hi.
over there too. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, everyone, and I will see you next Wednesday.
Have
Night.
a good night.